What's up, guys? So now that we got the drums all put together, it's time to jump over to the computer and get our sessions ready. So today I'm going to talk about creating our tracks, setting up levels, screen sharing, and recording section by section. If you haven't already, check out my new album, The Dichotomy Paradox. Let's get started. Now I'm going to create 16 tracks in the exact order I actually mic'd them in the live room, okay? And how I did it was overhead left, then overhead right, then shoulder, and so on and so forth. Okay, once I've labeled all those 16 tracks, I'm going to create another set of 16 tracks. I'm going to label those exactly the same way. What I'm going to do next is open up the mixer. I'm going to select the first 16 tracks that I created, and I'm going to add them to a group. Okay, now I'm going to select the other 16 tracks I created and add them into a group. Now I'm going to open my settings. I'm going to name the first group Drums A, and I'm going to select whichever settings I want to be affected group-wide. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing with my other group, but name it B. And also in Logic, editing selection needs to be activated. Another little thing I like to do is just add a different color to each group, which kind of gives me a nice little visual aid as I'm moving through the recording process. Okay, and so now we're left with two separate groups of a complete 16-channel drum setup. Having a friend come in and set levels with you is by far the easiest and most effective choice. Have somebody that you trust, somebody that knows how to use your equipment. It is possible to set your own levels, but it's a little tricky and you might have to go back and forth a little bit trying to get things right. It's absolutely worth it to me to just wait till I can get somebody in and dial the settings in just right. Now once the preamps are set, I'll go into the DAW and do just a rough mix of all the drum tracks, the scratch tracks. I'll make sure the metronome's not bleeding through the headphones. I'll even make sure I still like the tuning of the drums. I'm about to hit record, so I want to make sure everything's just right. Other than setting levels, this entire recording process is done solo. The way I do it is I use my laptop and I screen share with the main computer in the control room. And this allows me to stay in the live room behind the drum set and just reach over and record enable a track and go for it. There's two basic approaches to recording that I've been exposed to a lot. One is when a band has prepared themselves, they've come into the studio, they've got a limited amount of time, and they want to just try and record everything in one take or a few takes, maybe do a little comping, and be done with it. The other scenario is recording section by section and taking your time. This is for people that can actually rent out a studio for months and write and record at the same time. For me, this is just my own home recording setup, so I have the luxury of sitting around and recording and writing at the same time. And so where I'm at this point is I have a programmed drum beat as a reference that I'll check to give myself a direction, and then I'll go ahead and loop a section or multiple sections that I want to practice and write, and then when I have something worked out, I'll immediately record it and then move on to the next section or sections and repeat the process. So here's a quick example of what that might actually look like. At the end of the take, let the drums ring out naturally for at least 4 bars, and make sure you do not hit the downbeat of the next section. Then all you got to do is record enable the other group of tracks we created, and start the process over. By now, my session looks like this. I've got my click track, I've got my scratch tracks that I've been working with as my guide, and I have my drums recorded by section. Now, in reality, my album's actually been done for several months, and I don't have an original session old enough to show you all these recorded sections like we're looking at right now. Instead, we're going to look at one of my client sessions, which happens to be in the exact stage that we're talking about now. So the next few video segments we'll be talking about editing. I'm going to use this session as our example. So real quick, let's just see how these two sections blend together and pay attention to how the toms resonate naturally while the next section just jumps right in as if it was one take. So if you did it right, you should be able to close your eyes, play the song, and it should sound like one take. So that's a quick look at how I like to go about recording drums. But now I got to deal with some editing. So next time I'm going to talk about comping, track cleanup, time correction, and adding samples. So don't forget to subscribe and check out my website, thoughtsofmine.com. And thanks for watching.